My name is Philip Deturi. I am the Director of Education at FiCycle, and today I'm going to be giving a talk which we call Wealth Not Cash. So I want to stop for a second and just talk to the teachers in the room about the various ways we can interact with these concepts and these ideas with our students. My favorite is a flashcard activity. So I like to give students like index cards, 2 index cards. On one side you write asset and liability, or A and L. And then on the other index card you write I on one side for income and E for expense on the other side. You give students these 2 cards and you call out scenarios similar to the scenarios that we were going over in the grid. And then you let students hold up what they think. So you say, okay, you get a babysitting job for 3 hours, you get paid $5 an hour, and all the students get to hold up their card that has an eye on it to show that that's you experiencing income. What's very nice about this is it creates a low stakes environment which encourages all students to respond, but provides them a little bit of wiggle room if they're not sure. Because this is a little different than your average math class, where your answers might be different based on your thinking or your rationale, we want to give students this opportunity to put up a card, look and see what other people have done, and maybe change their opinion. As the teacher, you'll see what they initially said, but this low stakes environment gives students a chance to save face in front of their peers while giving you, the teacher, all the data you want. You see what they hold up initially, and you can even see which students self-correct. Now, this flashcard activity idea goes great with student-driven examples. I briefly mentioned how much students love coming up with silly examples like stealing money from your sibling, or finding money on the floor, or the fact that putting a penny in the fountain to make a wish is an expense. So let students come up with their own silly examples. Often the more ridiculous examples they come up with are betraying their conceptual understandings. So students who come up with very good, silly examples really get it. And it requires a little bit of creativity to do that, so let them do it. They enjoy it, it's fun. And you can use the flashcard activity as an on-the-fly way to respond to student-driven examples. Let a student come to the front, give their example, let the other students hold up their cards. It can be a really fun way to get students interacting with students and break the paradigm of students always interacting directly with the teacher. The last thing I'll mention is this great website, wodb.ca. It's Which One Doesn't Belong. It's a wonderful website. We are not affiliated with them in any way. I don't know anyone who even works there, but as a teacher for over a decade, I used to use this website a lot, and I love it. Basically, it creates puzzles where there's 4 things, and one of them doesn't belong for a reason, but the truth is that each of them doesn't belong for a reason. So they might be, 4 numbers, and all but one is a perfect square, and all but one is even, and all but one, and they have these different scenarios. It's wonderful. I suggest you go and check out the webpage. I bring it up because you can take scenarios and create which one doesn't belong puzzles with them. I'm not going to belabor the point here. Go to the webpage, check it out, and after looking at the webpage, you'll have an idea of what I mean. The idea that when we add something to one side of an equation, we have to see a corresponding change to the other side of the equation is a concept that students need to learn in school, particularly usually in algebra, around the concept of equality. However, you can see that by using situations and scenarios which are familiar to our students, we can activate their prior knowledge by getting them to interact with this real world concept, or this concept in a real world example, like the ones we're talking about today. By talking about money and introducing these concepts and having students do this reasoning around equality in scenarios that are familiar to them, we access their prior knowledge and we provide an opportunity for them to both model and practice the modeling of real world things in mathematics. This is really powerful. It also gives students who might be confused about the abstract notions we try to teach them about equality some access points by thinking about these scenarios which are not entirely unfamiliar. So I want to take a step back for a moment and contrast what we've talked about today with the traditional focus of personal finance on budgeting. Traditional personal finance courses tend to focus on budgeting, and they try to teach students a rule. They teach them, be sensible and thrifty with your money rather than fickle and impulsive. Make sure you're spending less than you have coming in. However, this really misses the big picture. Budgeting is important, but if you want to be wealthy over your financial life cycle, you need to think about wealth more broadly. And so our approach tries to empower students to think critically about their financial goals and help them meet them. The irony is not lost on students when you look at seniors and tell them, make sure you're spending less than you make. And the first financial decision that they have to make in their lives is to take out a huge loan for more than they've ever made and go to college. Now, not everyone goes to college. It's not right for everyone. But for those who do, our traditional focus on budgeting doesn't really explain the very first financial decision they have to make. The materials that we used in today's presentation come from the FiCycle course. The materials used today in our presentation are taken from the FiCycle curriculum, which is short for Financial Lifecycle Mathematics. FiCycle is a math class that provides a theoretically grounded introduction to personal finance for high school and early college students. At roughly the level of Algebra 2, the mathematics is differentiable and can either be differentiated up to make it much more difficult or made a little bit simpler for students at a slightly lower level. However the course is taught, it helps people to navigate the financial calculations and decisions a person must make over the course of their lifetime, over their financial life cycle. Now, typically, students will usually take the course at the end of their senior year or junior year, but often the course is used alongside other math classes as an elective, or to help students remediate algebra without being stuck in the same cycle of endlessly taking the same course again and again. You can see that the course is broken up into 5 units plus a supplementary 6th unit. The first 3 units are largely concerned with the basics of personal finance and the mathematics of transferring consumption across time, while the latter units are more concerned with modeling and the risk incurred in the transfer of consumption. For teachers who choose to teach the FiCycle curriculum or bring it into their school, we provide a complete set of materials. This includes UBD-style unit plans, student-centered workbooks and other materials, as well as a suite of projects and summative assessments. We also support teachers new to the FiCycle curriculum by bringing them in for training the summer before their first year teaching the curriculum to make sure they feel comfortable with all the personal finance and mathematics contained in the first 3 units. We also offer a secondary training in the middle of the year before the start of the spring semester to help teachers with the latter units. If you would like more information about FiCycle, either to have it in your school or just because you're interested in teaching math and personal finance together, please visit our webpage at www.ficycle.org or go ahead and email us at info@ficycle.org. We'd be very happy to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with comments or questions. Again, my name is Phil Deturi. I'm the Director of Education at FiCycle, and I really appreciate your time helping to learn about and spread this important work. I hope you have a fantastic day.